All right, you're recording everywhere.
Okay. And I'll give it a one more second. Okay. All right, hold on a second. All right. All board members are ready. All right, good morning, everybody. And I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, great, thank you. All right, with that, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of March 28th, 2022 and April 5th, 2022 special meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Great, any comments, changes? No? Okay, great, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
No abstentions then, okay? Great, thank you. Item number 3, for Selectwoman's comments, had a attended an interesting meeting last week with the first Selectwoman of Killingworth, just to talk about the ongoing situation with Deer Lake and just some of the community efforts that are out there right now to help raise additional funds. Obviously, Deer Lake is close to a lot of people's Madison's heart in terms of using the camp, using the facility a lot, and it's a very beloved, treasured public space that I know the residents of our town really enjoy using. And so they're kind of trying to figure out the next phase of this. It's been a very difficult negotiation process. She's assisting some groups. And I think we might have a member of the public here today to talk a little bit about that in the comments. But there is going to be an ongoing fundraising effort. So if any members of the public are watching this, there is an organization that will be looking to continue to raise money to participate in the unusual bidding situation that's happening with this public assets, or well, this beautiful land asset that we have in our neighboring community. So and then otherwise, no other real updates, except we're continuing to work through closing date. We extended, based on our last meeting, the closing for Island Avenue will occur sometime in May. We're working on a date now. We're still working through the process for the planning and zoning approvals. So there was an extension that was granted by the buyer, who is until the end of May to kind of wrap that up. And then we're still trying to settle on a closing date for the purchase of the property for the new school. That's just been more, I think, dealing with the sellers and schedules and things like that. There's no issues really. It's just trying to get, there's the owners, there's several owners, family owners that own the property, and kind of coordinating some of that. So we're hoping that'll get resolved very soon. And with that, I guess I'll turn it over to fellow board members if anybody has any liaison reports or selectmen comments.
I would just like to, I am aware of the Deer Lake. Actually, I ran the organization. We ran a camp there when I was involved, for about 15 years, and so many people throughout the community. I think we had 9 towns represented with children that attended camp there, but it's such an incredible asset. And I think the Attorney General is involved now. I mean, it really is. They've got a board member that's come in with double the amount of money, and it's one of the, by board members, I mean, Boy Scout board members, Board of Trustees. It's just, the whole thing is such a mess. I look at how we work together as a town, and it was controversial when we bought Rockland. We didn't get any state money, paid $5 million for it. And it was open space concept was sort of new, but we worked through it, and with the private owner, and what an asset that's turned out to be. So I really do hope they're able to work things out. The whole idea of conservation of that property has been totally lost with the Boy Scouts, unfortunately. And I sure hope they work it out. And I agree with Peggy. It's so many families in this community hold that place, not just for the camps, but just for what an asset it is. It would be a shame to have that all built out. One thing with the senior tax relief, part of the regulation we passed, we have to review it every 5 years. So they are looking for people to serve on a short-term subcommittee and to see if they would like to be part of it, just to review the 3 different programs we have. One's a state program, 2 are ours. And so we open that up. Anybody can contact the first selectman's office if they're interested. As I said, it would be a short-term commitment. And then P&Z, there's a lot going on. And you keep reading about all the different development proposals downtown. They're really almost coming out of the woodwork. There's also, we should be aware of what's going on in Hartford. A lot of zoning, potential zoning laws being put out there. Some of them are a little scary to say the least, with housing authorities taking, being able to make decisions, any housing authority making any decision about any town they want. Hopefully, I can't even imagine that would ever go through, but I'm paying attention. I'm sure planning and zoning, our zoning officer is watching it also, but those are the 2 big things for me. Thank you.
It is officially interview season for us with all of the committees. Al and I have done a bunch of ethics commission interviews, and we'll be huddling this week to move next steps forward. Scott and I began interviewing for the elementary school building committee this week, and shortly we'll begin interviewing for the academy school building committee, and we've got the advisory committee as well. So lots of good people stepping forward. We've been really impressed with the not only the volume of applications that we've received, but the quality of people that are stepping forward. It's really gratifying to see new names, new people stepping forward to help Madison.
Yeah, I think it's been incredible, all the applicants we've received. I think one of the good things is with the new Madison alert system, we're able to push out, what we're looking for and when. So it's helpful because a lot of people don't just, the website is kind of static to them. They don't check it all the time. So, we'll continue to make that effort. I think what I'd like to do is one point is push out a very detailed, list of what commissions and what they're about, where we have vacancies as well, because it's a little, I think, confusing when you go to the website, but we'll try to keep, getting more people engaged and understanding all their different options to volunteer. Al, any comments on your end? No? Okay.
Al,
Okay.
Excuse me, Peggy. Al, do you want to just give us a little update on how our committee's doing with the American Recovery Plan?
I'd be happy to, Noreen. The town government has set up a committee, including some members of the public, to help the elected officials make decisions about the how to make use of the funds that we have received from the federal government, called the American Recovery Program. The committee has started to meet on a weekly basis. Our chair is Bob Reinhardt. We are currently setting up a application process for community groups and businesses to apply to the committee for participation in this pot of funding. I think we hope to be going public with that within a matter of weeks in order to start the application process. As we see it, the committee will review the applications and then make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen as to possible, I guess I'll call them grant awards through this ARP program.
That's helpful because you just reminded me that just one other update. I think I'd sent a notice out to the board, but Joe Courtney, Congressman Courtney, will be visiting Madison this afternoon, starting at 12:45, to just look at some of the ways we've already spent some of the ARPA funds. So he'll be touring Madison Hose Company downtown to look at some of the equipment that we use funds to purchase. He will be visiting the American Legion just to see the improvements that ARPA funds help do to the exterior of the building. And he'll be touring the senior center because we set aside some money for Meals on Wheels, so we can see the kitchen and just kind of how we run that program, what a great program it is for the town. And then finally, we'll do a quick stop at the ambulance, which we've been making HVAC improvements to that facility, and eventually we'll have this oxygen refill station, which they haven't had a chance to finalize and install yet. But so these were all things that were through ARPA funds. So we look forward to his visit today, and that he can kind of see in real time, where this money is going. So any other comments? Move on to citizen comments. Lauren, I'll turn it over to you for citizens' comments.
There are two people with their hand raised. I've moved over the first that is labeled the Animal Haven. So you'll need to unmute yourself and state your first and last name and address for the record.
Sorry, it's not the Animal Haven. It's Linda Marino at 145 Middle Beach Road. I speak for myself and several other people who are attending this morning's meeting who may have comments as well. We noticed that the issue regarding short-term rentals, which was raised at the last Board of Selectmen meeting on March 28th, is on the agenda today. First, we would like to thank the Board of Selectmen for putting this item on the agenda. As many of us expressed at the last Board of Selectmen meeting, this is a very important issue that directly impacts our communities and the quality of life of Madison's residents. This issue was raised before the Board of Selectmen in 2019, 3 years ago now, and nothing has been done to address it to date. So we really do appreciate that it's on today's agenda. Since 2019, the issue has only become more urgent as short-term rentals have become quite a trend in Madison, and more properties are being purchased by investors. To protect Madison's neighborhoods and communities, we request that the town enact an ordinance, like many other cities and towns have done in Connecticut and throughout the United States, with appropriate enforcement provisions banning the short-term rental of houses, rentals of less than 30 consecutive days in the residence districts of the towns. I'm a retired lawyer. I was a partner in a litigation firm in Manhattan and an assistant U.S. attorney, and I and several of us would be more than happy to draft an ordinance for the Board of Selectmen's consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. No, next is Ted. Great.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Well, Ted Langevin, 30 Robin Ridge Drive in Madison. I'd like to bring to your attention a local issue that's receiving national attention, the sale of Deer Lake Scout Reservation. As part of the bankruptcy of the Boy Scouts of America, all councils, including our local Connecticut Yankee Council, were assessed a fee to provide funds for a share of the settlement. Connecticut Yankee Council was assessed $2.6 million and paid this by turning over Camp Pomfrog in Union, Connecticut, and making up the balance in cash from their endowment. Despite losing this camp, council still had 4 other camps and only 7,000 youth members, down from over 20,000 members in the 90s. Last September, Connecticut Yankee Council decided to sell Deer Lake because it was surplus to their needs and could generate funding to improve the 2 other camps that it was targeting for the future. The announced buyer was a member of the Connecticut Yankee Council board and a developer. This is shocking because the Scouts' mission is to be conservation-minded and follow the outdoor code. Upon hearing this news, community members came together to oppose the sale to a developer. The town of Killingworth reached out to the Trust for Public Land, a nonprofit whose mission is to protect open land and act as a facilitator for its client, in this case, the town of Killingworth, to acquire the property. As part of this bankruptcy proceedings of the Boy Scouts of America, all camp properties were appraised by a national firm, CBRE. Deer Lake was estimated to have a value between 3.7 and 4.2 million. Based on this, the Trust for Public Land made a conditional offer for the property, calling for a more thorough appraisal to set the actual selling price. This was refused by council. TPL then commissioned their own appraisal, which came in at between 2 and 2.4 million, in large part due to the zoning restrictions on the property. In contrast, the Killingworth assessor's property card values the property at just over 6 million. The TPL appraisal found that the highest and best use of the property, the use that gives the highest appraisal value, was as a camp. The Trust for Public Land, limited by their policy to pay no more than the appraised value of property, then offered 2.4 million, which was again refused. While all this was happening, Pathfinders, a 501c3 nonprofit started in 1997 by Mark and Patty Clifton, rangers at Deer Lake, became more active. Pathfinders was established for the purpose of running program at and otherwise supporting Deer Lake. Additional board members were appointed. Pathfinders started meeting weekly to assess what could be done about the impending loss of Deer Lake to development. At first, Pathfinders backed TPL and fully expected the Scouts to take the conservation-oriented deal. That was not to be. The developer bid a very high 4.625 million, and council's position was that only a better offer would be successful. Unfortunately, that tied TPL's hands. So at that point, Pathfinders stepped in, got our paperwork in order, and began to raise funds and seek publicity for the cause. Throughout the fall, council had been saying that time was short and that a sale was imminent. The first actual deadline date was December 14th. That came and went, as did January and February deadline dates they issued to submit offers and have the sale go through. In March, council announced that March 31st was it. Submit a superior offer before then, or it was going to the developer. The developer would step aside if a superior offer were submitted. Pathfinder submitted a fair offer of 4.3 million on March 30th, which Pathfinders felt was a superior offer due to our stated goal to preserve the property as open space as is. The majority of the purchase price was to be paid at closing and a small amount 1 year later. A few days later, this offer was refused. Connecticut council said that the price was now not 4.625 million, but 5 million, which included a 375,000 breakup fee. This fee was due to the developer, who they said earlier did not have a contract to purchase. Additionally, council required all purchase funds to be in a bank account so the funds supporting the purchase by Pathfinders could be verified. At the very last minute, the Attorney General's office decided to investigate the sale. The issues of concern were that the developer may have a conflict of interest and that a donation was made to council to create a bird sanctuary at Deer Lake. A sale to a developer would violate the public trust created by accepting the donation. Council agreed to extend the deadline to May 1st. Pathfinders has meanwhile been continuing to raise funds and is only $1 million short of the 5 million that council wants, including the breakup fee. I stand here before the Board of Selectmen and the public today, asking for your help and support to preserve this priceless piece of land, which is of critical environmental importance as a source of fresh water for the Sound, has the highest rating for environmental resiliency given by the Nature Conservancy, has been a camp since 1933, and has provided endless hours of recreation and enjoyment to residents of towns surrounding it. In fact, Madison residents make up the largest group of day campers in the summer. Please visit savedeerlake.com to find out how you can help. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful to go through the history of the process and kind of where we are. It's unfortunate that it's gotten to this point. So I appreciate you bringing this to the public's attention. If anybody's interested, there's a website. You can find out more information and certainly reach out directly to Ted and his group at Pathfinders about ways you can provide assistance, either financial or otherwise, to hopefully make this a successful process so we can keep this beautiful, pristine property in conservation hands, so to speak. So I think, I don't know if any other board member, normally don't have a back and forth. I know during public comment, but I would open it up if board members want to comment. No. Anybody, Ted, thank you for your time today. Sorry, Al, yep.
I just wanted to ask Ted if, besides fundraising, is there anything else the public can do to help influence the outcome of this process?
Well, I suppose writing to council and expressing their views that it should be kept as a conservation oriented sale, that would be helpful. And then other than that, just spread the word so those who may want to give would be able to do so.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much, Ted. And obviously,
you.
good luck with your efforts. And I know I certainly will try to pass on the information to as many people as I know who send their kids to Deer Lake in the summer. So, Lauren, any other public comment?
There is one more.
Okay.
Can you please state your first and last name for the record? Hello, Laura? Well, maybe they're having technical difficulties.
Okay. All right. Well, there is an opportunity for public comment at the end of the meeting. So we'll move forward because I know we have a group of school kids eager to talk about their project waiting. So with that, maybe we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item number 6. And that is a presentation from the Witness Stones project and details for upcoming Witness Stone marker installation. And so I'd like to invite up Liz Lightfoot, who's with the country school and is spearheading this Witness Stones project. Some board members may remember, actually, I think I don't think Bruce and Noreen were on the board when this originally was presented to the board. But this is, I'll let Liz talk about the project a little bit more. They've already installed 2 markers in town. You might have seen some press articles about it. It's a great project, and they're here to talk about their latest and greatest one. So with that, I will turn it over to the country school.
Hi, I'm Liz Lightfoot, and I'm not going to say much. I'm going to pass the baton over to our students. We have a couple of students who want to introduce the project this year and to thank you for your support of us 3 years ago when we started and supporting our ongoing work.
Hello, we are the 8th graders at the country school. Thank you for allowing us to speak with you this morning. We are joining you today to thank you for your previous support and to share information about our ongoing work with the Witness Stones project. As you may know, the Witness Stone project seeks to restore the history and honor the humanity of the enslaved individuals who helped build our community through research, education, and civic engagement. The Witness Stones project is a nonprofit which was co-founded by Dennis Culleton and Doug Nygren in Guilford in 2017. Their work was inspired by a project started in Germany by an artist who put stones on the ground to commemorate lives lost during the Holocaust. As the Witness Stones project website states, through remembrance and reconciliation, we will be able to navigate a path toward healing and growth. We hope to remember the past so we can build a stronger future. Thank you.
Our town's history reflects so much of who we are, where we work, and how we live our lives in Madison. We know a lot about Madison's history, but some of that history is still being uncovered. For the last 3 years, students at the country school have been working to uncover an important piece of our history. 2 years ago, a group of 8th graders joined you at one of your meetings to talk about their work to restore the history of a woman named Lettuce Bailey. That project concluded with the installation of a memorial marker in front of the First Congregational Church near where she was enslaved by the church's minister. Last year, 8th graders researched and shared the history of her mother, a woman named Tamar, who was kidnapped in Africa and transported to the United States, where she was enslaved by the same minister. Her marker, too, is installed in front of the Congregational Church. This year, we've been researching a man named Theophilus Niger. By researching primary source documents found in local archives and elsewhere, we've learned that Mr. Niger was enslaved by Thomas and Abigail Hodgkin, who lived near Horse Pond. We know that he was married to a Native American woman named Penelope Tantapin, and together they had at least 6 that we found children.
We have learned that over time, Mr. Niger was able to amass his own property, including land, a house, and a barn. We have learned that he eventually gained his freedom, and that when he died, he left his children real estate and other resources. 2 of his sons went on to fight in the Revolutionary War. One grandson, Alfred Niger, became a prominent voting rights activist in Rhode Island, helping to lead a successful pre-Civil War Black voting rights effort. A small business owner in Providence, he was also a Rhode Island agent for William Lloyd Garrison's abolitionist newspaper, The Liberator. Alfred Niger's son would go on to become the first Black printer in Providence, and some of our classmates have found the brick building where he ran his business. When he died, he left an estate that included a house near Brown University and property on Nantucket. He also was an early workers' rights advocate.
We look We look forward to installing a memorial marker in memory of Theophilus Niger in late May, hopefully near Horse Pond, where he was enslaved and later made a life with his family in freedom. During our installation ceremony, we will share what we have learned about this remarkable, inspiring man and his legacy, and we hope many of you will join us.
Here is what we plan to say on our memorial marker. Theophilus Niger, enslaved here. Married to Penelope Tantapin. Father, neighbor, provider, farmer, landowner, owner. Emancipated circa 1760. Died 1770, leaving a legacy. Thank you for letting us share our project with you this morning, and thank you for your ongoing support.
Great. Thank you very much. I don't know, is there any wrap up you want to do, Liz? Or, oh, there's the whole class, which is great. So I just want to give you, oh,
I
that
just want
okay?
to thank you. Yeah, just wanted to thank you all so much and let you see we have a big crew here, a whole team who's done amazing work, and we thank you so much for letting us research this history in Madison and share it. And if you have any questions, I'm sure kids would be happy to answer.
I just want to comment that the Theophilus, the house that they referred to is my home, actually, which is across the street from Horse Pond. And we were fortunate to have the Historical Society do a binder on our house about 10 years ago. And they found the original will of the owners of the house who built the house that talked about Theophilus and how that as property, he was given through the will his freedom after the death of the wife, the Hodgkin's wife who was living there. Although it sounds, I think he might have gotten it earlier from the research they're doing. So this kind of created a great dialogue with some of the students learning about our house history, but also the area history, because we believe his other home was in the area near Horse Pond. And I was just very inspired by the whole story, because it's kind of, it's something people don't think about in New England as much, about the history of slavery in New England, especially in towns like ours. And so it was very eye-opening to me, and I tried to help the students as much as I can in terms of what information we had, and the Historical Society had done a great job in terms of the deed history of the house. So we have a plaque on our house that says the Christopher Foster House. That is actually inaccurate. That was put in probably in the 70s, a long time ago. And now with more access to modern, technology and more research records, the Historical Society we just have to put the new plaque out. Just we haven't done it, but it's I think fascinating just to learn these things about our community. So I thank you for all their hard work. And then other board members, if they want to make comments or ask questions. And I just also want to mention that my understanding, town protocol for markers on town property, because the pond is town property, goes through the Beach and Rec Commission, and they approved the installation of the marker, which is just a small, modest thing that will be at a good location in Horse Pond. They approved it at their last meeting. So that will happen. Hopefully we'll get it done by May. So great job, guys. And I'm excited to read the report, when things are finalized.
May I just say too, we are so grateful for your support, Peggy, and for allowing us to share the story of your home and the previous residents. So thank you so much, Mrs. Lyons.
I just want to add my congratulations and thanks to Elizabeth and to the whole class. This is a good. I have followed the project. Actually, when I first heard about it, was in Guilford, and then I know Country School picked it up, and it's just been wonderful. And it's kind of exciting to see that our first selectman has a tie into all this work that you're doing. When is your ceremony? Did you skip the date that I missed?
No, we are hoping to do it on May 23rd and just making, checking for confirmation that works for everyone. But that's our goal, because we have to squeeze it in before graduation and other end of year events for these very busy 8th graders.
We'll certainly get you all an invitation.
Well, thank you. Excellent job, all of you.
Great.
Thank
Well,
you so
thanks.
much.
All right. Any other comments? No? Okay. All right, guys.
Thank
Thank
you
you for joining us. So amazing technology now, right? That we can do this. You don't have to worry about leaving school and buses and all that stuff to get the kids here. So glad it was able to work out this way. Okay, so I guess the next, let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is discuss and take action to approve a proclamation for Cleanup Day, April 30th, 2022. Okay, yep.
I'll second it.
Yeah, okay.
I think Al was moving it. I'll second it.
Okay. This is kind of a standard one that I know we've used in the past. Do you want me to read it into the record, or? Whereas in 1984, the town of Madison held its first annual Cleanup Day to coincide with Earth Day. And whereas through the outstanding efforts of the town landscape committee and numerous other volunteers, this program has continued to grow over the last several years. And whereas Madison has been in the forefront of a shoreline effort to combat litter. And whereas through the hard work of town residents, Madison is given an annual spring cleaning, which is appreciated throughout the whole year. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen of the town of Madison, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2022 as Cleanup Day and urge all residents to participate in this worthwhile project. Dated Madison, Connecticut, this 12th day of 2022, April 2022. So I guess all in favor of the proclamation is read, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. And actually, just a question. I know, Bruce, you had mentioned about trying to make more of an event out of that. Lauren, has there been any progress about that? Like maybe having a food truck come, or?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Austin is here though, so I will move him over. He may know more.
Okay. And I'm also just reading this proclamation now. We might want to update this next year to be more reflective of the events that we have, because the town landscape committee is, I think, dormant, isn't it? We don't really have it. It's now pretty much run by building and grounds department. So maybe next year we'll kind of freshen this up. Hey, Austin.
Good morning. So I am meeting with the one of the chairs of the Conservation Commission tomorrow morning to discuss the event, and if we want to do a food truck, that I'm sure we could reach out to one of the many that come to Madison and get one to show up at one of the locations or both locations, which is on the town green and Roberts Food Center up north.
Okay. Well, that would be good, I think, just to have a little bit more activity around it. And there's a lot of people that, I guess it ends at noon, right? So maybe we have them come, late morning and be available. So, okay, well, let's follow up on that and see if it's something that we can pull together.
There's also a shredding event that day on the green sponsored by the chamber, which kind of fits right into the,
Right.
Okay.
The event.
Oh, Austin, it's going to be I know there's usually a dumpster right there near Memorial Town Hall. That'll be there again?
Yeah, there'll be a dumpster at Memorial Town Hall as well as the Roberts Food Center parking lot.
And I think there are neighbors that get together and do their neighborhood. And they could certainly come down and dump whatever they find in these dumpsters. But I think it's neighborhood civic groups and just families that want to come out and, give it an hour and pick a spot. It could be their own area or anywhere in town.
I think we've had a lot of people sign up already, right? Have groups signed up, or do we need to kind of push this again to remind them? Because it sneaks up on us, I know, every year.
We have
we've set-
8 groups. Sorry, Austin. We have 8 groups signed up right now, officially, but I know normally we get between 20 and 25. And there is always that like last week push, people forget that they didn't register yet. So I do anticipate that we will be getting a lot of registrations towards the end of the month.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know a lot of people are focused on the holiday next week and everything. So,
Yeah.
and we'll do maybe a push through Madison. I know Rita usually does that. Maybe she can ramp that up as we get closer to April 30th. So
I just want to get it on the record that in the course of the last year, I've lost a bunch of money in various places in town. And so if you come across any dimes, nickels, quarters, $100 bills, they're probably mine. I'd appreciate them back.
okay. All right. We'll put a collection can for you with the at the pickup site. All right. Well, thank you. Wait, did we vote on this? All in favor? Say aye. I think we did.
Aye.
I'll do it again. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Austin. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda is discuss and take action to approve calling a public hearing on May 23rd, 2022 at 6 o'clock in Town Campus Room A and on Zoom to hear comment on the draft affordable housing plan.
So moved.
Second? Okay, great. Al seconding. Okay, this is basically, and maybe I'll let Al, if you want to talk about the process here, Al, from the affordable housing plan. Oh, we have Aaron here. Great. Okay, Aaron, why don't you kind of just talk about the process? So
just squeaked in for you, Al. Let me get our timeline here. So just a quick update, our Affordable Housing Plan Committee has been working very hard over the last year and have prepared a draft plan for review by the board, and we'll also share with the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. And so the anticipated or the hope is to be able to have a public hearing on May 23rd ahead of the regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting to allow for public comment and feedback prior to adoption for the June 1st deadline with the state. And so that plan will be released this week and posted on the town's website and shared. The committee themselves have a listserv of over 200 residents who have expressed an interest in affordable housing. So we'll share that link directly with them. And also, hopefully Peggy will get that into an update, Selectmen's update, and make it available right on the homepage for our residents to review. And we'll have, so that will allow us to have a 35-day public comment period where we can receive feedback.
And just to highlight that this is the draft document that the Affordable Housing Committee has come up with. The Board of Selectmen has not, reviewed or made amendments to the plan. So what will be available to the public for this hearing is that document, right? The Affordable Committee document.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is a plan that the committee worked on with myself, as well as our planning consultant, Taiki planning group.
Okay, great. Well, we look forward to seeing it. So, and we will definitely do some pushes for that and make sure that people have what they need for the, they'll have a link and everything. So this will go out through the Madison alerts as well.
And Peggy, might just ask, this is a draft, right? The public's going to get their first look at this. So this will be a draft and hopefully you'll get a lot of input. And
I think that's the goal, to allow for that 35 days to give ourselves plenty of time to have residents read through it. And in addition, the board and the Planning and Zoning Commission will be having a joint meeting where our consultant can provide presentation on the plan. The committee will be available and myself to let you know where the thought process was going behind, you know, for all of the information and goals that we put in the plan, to explain that to you a little more detailed and receive your comments firsthand. That's a public meeting as well. So we would encourage residents to attend that one too.
It's excellent. Thank you.
And tentatively, I believe, with just confirmation from the board, we were hoping for May 5th, which is a regularly scheduled planning and zoning night. But
Right.
we'll finalize the details and post that date once we have confirmation.
And I think also, just so the public understands, there's a little bit of a very restrictive deadline here. So the board will eventually be adopting this plan. We have to adopt it by June 1st to meet a state deadline. But part of that adoption can include follow-up and action items. So there's the things that the public has concerns of that we need to research, spend more time thinking about it. We'll have to finalize a plan to submit to the state, but we will also have action items. So we would be following up on any public comment or changes that the public may want us to make to the plan. So whatever's filed on June 1st is not like cemented. It's going to be, you know, it's going to include action items and follow up, and we can do changes after that. We're allowed to make changes to it afterwards.
It's a
So-
working document, exactly, Peggy. And it's mandated by the state that it be updated or created and amended every 5 years. However, that's at the town's discretion. We, you know, if we want to make changes ahead of time, and use that truly as a working document.
You know, I didn't understand all that, but that's excellent, because people, hopefully, because they do talk about it, people do want to know. They, you know, we've been listening to them, and some of them, you know, this will be the first time when they read the plan that they might actually publicly say something, or at least to this committee. But thank you for all the work you're doing.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay, great. So with that, I guess the motion is approved calling the public hearing. The motion is read, say aye. Aye. Great. So we've got our hearing on the calendar now. Next item on the agenda is discuss and take action to approve a line item transfer request from Youth and Family Services Department in the amounts of $2,500 and $940.
So moved.
Okay, second, great. Al, Scott, just want to give a brief. This is just going from one area to the other in his budget.
Yes, we had planned, I think, for mileage to go back and a little bit more for this past budget year. We realized that didn't come to fruition. We have 2 lines that we want to increase in the next budget year, and this is us just getting to that earlier in this year. So we're moving funds that aren't going to be expended, and they're going straight to supporting our staff on 2 lines. And I'm happy to give you more details if you'd like.
Yeah, Scott, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
And thank you for this being a line item, not a special appropriation.
You got it.
Yeah, we appreciate it. The mileage, does the state give a mileage number each year? I thought they didn't update it. Am I wrong on that, or do you set your own mileage?
We set our own mileage. It's for travel. I mean, the line item is for travel, in which we primarily wind up reimbursing people for the mileage they drive to meetings and trainings and things.
I thought the state actually had a number, you know, like a mileage number, like, you know, that they modified it every year. No.
And they may. I'm not. I apologize. I'm not aware of that. We make our estimates for that line for our department based on our travel expenses that we would incur in the normal business of what we do.
I think there's IRS guidelines.
Yeah,
Is that
it's
what
an
you're referring
IRS
to?
rate.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
and
every
you all
year the
approve it.
IRS updates it. Yeah, that's what the reimbursement rate is, but the actual mileage depends on where you're going. So
Correct. That's what we're estimating, those costs.
And then the other part is the telephone. So somebody in your department is given the emergency phone. This is the one that, you know, on weekends and well, I guess
Correct.
all the time. What is that right now per day, and what is that going to with this line item transfer?
So that is so it is going to $25 a day and $50 to carry it on a holiday. Currently, I believe that number is $15 a day and $25 per holiday. So
Okay.
we're significantly increasing that. And it's not that so we refer to as the after hours phone because we can't call it technically like an emergency or crisis line, although it is used that way. Police will contact us. It's the 24-hour way of getting a hold of somebody on our staff. It's used mostly for emergency housing. And I'd say we average probably about one call a week in terms of the volume. But the thing with that phone is when that one call comes in on average, it's usually a pretty substantial need. And it's something that we have to have staff that are trained and know what to do. And sometimes it can be a little bit of a drawn out process because emergency housing means that we are trying to find a placement for them, usually in a local hotel. And sometimes there's some other circumstances that we have to be aware of and work with. It's also used by residents if they try to call our office and we're closed. That phone number is a part of the prompt. And so we have existing clinical clients. If they needed to reach one of our clinicians or somebody in an emergency or urgent need, the call is returned and we can connect them with the appropriate people.
So this is in lieu of having somebody work all weekend, just sitting there waiting for a phone call.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like a creative solution to it.
Yeah, and it is. And the staff, we wanted to increase it. And we had discussions among our staff in terms of what would make it palatable, worth it for them. And these are our staff that are working their regular jobs. This is an added responsibility that they take on, and it's reimbursement to people that are really doing extra work and non-work hours. And sometimes it doesn't ring, which is great. You get the daily reimbursement. When they do have to handle a call, the reimbursement that we're talking about here is just for carrying the phone. If they have to work on 9 hours, we try to give that back to them in terms of their daily rate, if they're hourly, or some time back if they're salaried.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Scott.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of approving the transfer, say aye. Aye. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
You too. Okay, item number 10, discuss and take action to approve special appropriation requests as follows. From the Emergency Management Department in the amount of $16,721.92 to fund expenses due to Hurricane Henri, pending Board of Finance approval. From the Selectmen's Office in the amount of $75,000 to fund the legal services account, pending Board of Finance and town meeting approval. As reviewed in the budget process from the first Selectman in the amount of $29,147 for the purchase of electronic speed signs as requested in the 2022-23 budget request, pending Board of Finance and town meeting approval. And then as reviewed in the budget process from the first Selectwoman in the amount of $290,000 into the major roads account to fund road paving, pending Board of Finance and town meeting approval. Can I get a second? Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, great. All right, so discussion, I mean, we can go through each line if that's helpful. One, obviously, we've talked, I think you're aware of most of these. There's one or two we can talk a little bit more about, but the first one is just related to Hurricane Henri, and that was also declared, I think emergency declaration was made for that from FEMA, so we should be getting some of that back. And that was just, storm related cleanup and things, which fortunately, Hurricane Henri ended up missing Madison, but it was very dicey up until the final hours. And so we did have some modest damage from that storm. And I see Stacy's on here and John and Sam. So I don't know if you need to add anything on the Hurricane Henri. That's just kind of typical cleanup. Yep.
Yeah, it was just typical cleanup, but I don't think we're going to get reimbursed. It was kind of, and Grant, Sam can expand upon it if you need him to, but it was kind of New Haven County needed to reach a dollar limit in order to qualify, and we didn't. So we waited until we were notified that we could not get reimbursed.
Okay.
So that's why we're doing
I know that happens with FEMA. You have to get to a certain level before you get eligible. So, so any other questions on that line item? No? Okay. Second one on here is the $75,000 to fund the legal services account. So I know, Bruce, you'd had some questions. Did you get your questions answered?
I did not. So if we could spend a
Okay.
couple of minutes and just go into
Sure.
what's driving this.
Yeah, there's actually, kind of the perfect storm. We had a number of different things come to a head this year. So I'll kind of give you just the buckets because some of these are sensitive issues, you know, because they're pending litigation. I will say one of the largest reasons we were kind of needing to do this was it's really a range of ones, but number one would be the FOIA case, which the board has discussed before, relating to the police department. And that case actually got moved directly to the Supreme Court, and there was a brief that had to be written, as we had talked about. I think it was in October where we had the executive session about that. So that's the largest number here. The second is the easements that we've spent a lot of time in the last year. We had 3 easements that need to be completed for the downtown center project. 2 are completely done. 1 is still, the easement's pretty much done, but we're waiting on a legal thing that's going back and forth between Eversource and one of the property owners. So that's the second largest. So that should go away finally. The third one on here is the decision at the Madison Beach Hotel regarding the concerts. And there was a decision that came out in, I think it was December, that, you know, the Madison Beach Hotel did win that case after the appeal. So that had gone all the way up to an appeal process. So that is the third largest number. The fourth has to deal with some investigations going on in the police department. And then I can keep going down. The fifth is actually related to a application dealing with the building inspector and a appeal to the state about a decision that was made on the issuance of a due to the floodplain ordinance. The name involved in that is Carrabba, which we've talked about a little bit. So that is another one. So there was a bunch of chunky kind of things that all hit in the last year that are mostly one-offs. And then if you keep going down, actually the more immediate stuff that we've been dealing with haven't been that bad. The, you know, purchase of Jansen. So we had a property purchase and that took some time and negotiating the purchase and sale agreement, Island Avenue. So I'm just kind of going down. So there's something, if Lauren can send you the summary, if that helps. But it's chunky, you know. There was like 4 or 5 that were just big that all hit here.
Right. So there's a bunch of kind of one-offs in there. In the request form, the response to the change in next year's budget is yes. And so my question is, we're not increasing the budget to reflect these one-offs, are we? Where
So this is for this year's, this is just so we could have enough money to finish the year. I don't think we're requesting a change in the budget for next year, for the new fiscal year.
That box probably shouldn't have been said yes, with the budget
Should have
has
said
remained
no,
flat.
just like the line above it says no.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is,
Okay, so
like I
then
said, a couple of big
I
chunky
I would propose we just amend that particular field in the form.
Will do.
And I think, Peggy, that's what threw me was that this was showing as an increase in the budget for what
Okay.
appeared to be one-offs.
Right. No, I get it. And I didn't catch that on the form. So that's a good catch. So this is all specific. And like I said, you're happy to see the breakdown. And it you know, it was 4 or 5 chunky things versus just one. So with that, is that okay? Board members ready to, or we don't vote on that? Let's go on to, is that it for that item?
Yeah.
75,000? Okay.
You know, Peggy, that was my only question too, was that form. Seeing it was the only one of these special appropriations that said as it impacted in next year's budget. So thank you for that clarification, but we should fix that form.
Yep. Yeah, we will do that. The next item is the speed signs. And I'm not sure if, unfortunately, the police department is here, but this is basically related to what we talked about in the budget. And we, as a board, agreed to move that as a special appropriation. And these things are well received by the public, the speed signs, electronic speed signs. So any additional questions needed on that?
So the dollar amount is below the town meeting threshold. So I'm wondering why we're putting it in the town meeting.
I think because of the department, right? Because we've already had special appropriations for the department, but
Yes, it's an aggregate for the fiscal year. It's not for one appropriation. It's an aggregate from a department.
So if you're over 50,000 in aggregate for the department, then that's what triggers it.
Yes.
And Peggy, both these last two, the one you're talking about now and the next one, we spoke about this. And you brought this up during the budget, and I think we all agreed. It made a lot of sense to do it, to take it out of money that we have now versus put it into a budget and have people pay taxes on it.
Right, right. So any additional, so on item, the last one, the 290, then also any other further questions? John's here. Okay. All right, great. All right. So with that, all in favor of approving the special appropriation request as read into the record with the notation, we'll be amending a form for the legal bill item, say aye. Aye. Okay, great. All right, motion passes. Thanks, guys. And then the other one is just actually the town meeting. Discuss and take action to approve calling a town meeting to approve the following: a special appropriation in the amount of $75,000 to fund the legal services account pending Board of Finance approval, a special appropriation in the amount of $29,147 for the purchase of electronic speed signs as requested in the 2022-23 budget request pending Board of Finance approval, and a special appropriation in the amount of $290,000 into the major roads account to fund road paving pending Board of Finance approval. Make it a second.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
You need
Aye.
to, you need to pick a day for the town meeting. There's no date.
Oh,
I
right.
asked you guys to consider when you would want to hold the town meeting. So normally we
Sorry,
would do
I will
it.
amend the motion. Those nasty little things called dates. So Lauren, you and I talked about a good date.
We had talked about the first week of May, holding a town meeting the first week of May, because normally we would do it in the evening prior to your evening meeting, but the 25th is a very loaded night for you guys with Board of Selectmen, budget hearing, and Board of Finance. So if there is a day the week of May 2nd that works best for everyone, and if not, we could just say in the motion that we are going to schedule it for that week, and then offline pick a day.
I'm fine with that. I mean, I think we could do it on the 2nd. I just want to make sure, is that enough time, the 2nd for notice? Because you have to publish this, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
I have it earmarked with them right now. So if we get this in, actually, yeah, you know what? It's not going to be enough time.
Yeah.
So I do have the draft with them, but they are going to need more time for the date. So you're looking at the week then of May 9th.
Yeah, there's no urgency on any of this, right? So, so I think, why don't we do it the week of May 9th? And then, yeah. Why don't we do it the Thursday, since that's when staff is here anyways? Right?
May 12th?
Yeah. Because we get so few people, but I know it means the town clerk has to be here. And then we could do like 6 o'clock on May 12th.
So I have one question. We may have a few other special appropriations as we're nearing the end of the year. Do we
Okay.
want to push it off a couple of weeks so that we can add those to
Add to
that?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and then we could do it on the 23rd prior to your meeting. So you have the 6 o'clock public hearing.
Perfect.
And then
yeah.
we could do this right at 7 and start your meeting at 7:15 that night.
That works good.
Okay,
Let's
let's
do
do
that.
that.
Okay. Yeah, there's no like 911 on these, so they can get all the paperwork ready and all that other stuff.
Yep.
So, okay. So with that, I will amend the motion for discuss and take action to approve calling. I will amend the motion to include a date for the town meeting of May 23rd, 2022. So second that. Okay, great. All right. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right, perfect. Thank you. Good. Item number 12. Discuss and take action to approve awarding the RFQ for owner's representative services for the new pre-K to 5 elementary school, the Brown Intermediate School alterations, and the Polson Middle School renovations project to Colliers International, and to allow the first selectman to negotiate and sign a contract in accordance with the RFQ. Can I get a motion? Or a second? Yeah. Okay,
Second.
great. Okay, so this is, invite Bill, he can just talk about the process we did. We actually did the interviews on Thursday, right? Thursday was it? Yeah. So very excited to get moving forward because we've got a very tight timeline on the schools to open fall 2025. So Bill, if you want to just spend a few minutes on the process that we did and the decision the team made.
I'd be happy to. Thank you for the time. We had 4 firms proposal for our RFP. We had a committee of John Yanako, our Public Works Director, our Town Engineer, Stacy, our Finance Director, Peggy, our First Select Woman, Dr. Cook, our Superintendent, Seth Klaskin, our Chairman of the Board of Education. So the 6 of us reviewed, myself included, reviewed the 4 firms.
Just want to mention real quick that Jean Fitzgerald from the Board of Finance was supposed to join us, but she had a family emergency, so she couldn't be at the interviewing process. So, but we were slated to have somebody from Board of Finance.
Thank you, Peggy, for that. Yes, Jean, was sorry she couldn't make it. So we did have a unanimous agreement that Collier's project leaders was the company for us for our $89 million renewal project. The 3 projects would be the new school, Polson renovations, and Brown. So I'm happy to go into more details. We did have a discussion about breaking the projects out, having different firms do different projects, and I think we all agreed, the committee, that we wanted one firm to represent all 3 projects.
Any questions from the board on the recommendation of the committee? No?
I do have one request, though. I know Bruce and Scott have a lot on their plate, and they're interviewing a lot of committee members. This one is time sensitive. I know it seems to be a long time away. The new school isn't going to be online until September of 25. But the design process and getting all the professional services is a big task, and we need to get that as soon as possible. So I understand you have a lot on your plate, but anything you could do to move that along. I did put out the RFQ qualifications for the architectural services for the new school. I'm hoping that the committee could select what firm they want to review and then ask for proposals. So those submittals are due April 21st. I know that's a tight time frame, but I'm trying to move it along. It's very time sensitive.
And I think our goal was to appoint the building committee on the first meeting or was it the 20? We had a target date.
I thought it was today.
No. It's the 20. I think we're targeting the 25th, right, for appointment, because we still have to do. They're still in the process of doing interviews, so it would be the 25th.
Monday night, the 25th. Yes, thank you, Peggy. Yeah. Yes, that will work.
Yep. So that's our goal. Obviously, we just gotta, hopefully we can keep to it. So, all right, with that, all in favor of approving the award as read, say aye. Aye. Okay, great. All right. Bill, thank you. And he ran a great process, and we had, it was just a really good overall, I think, process that we went through. So next item is discuss and take action to approve awarding the RFP for architectural and engineering services for the Brown Intermediate School alterations project. Okay. Al is a second. Okay, great. All right. So Bill, just spend a second on this one also, because you guys are really eager to get this going like ASAP, right?
Yes, we want to do the majority of the work next summer. So to do the majority of the work next summer, we need to finish the design, which is a big task, and bid the work out this fall. We all know that procurement and getting supplies and getting stuff is a big deal. So we used to bid stuff out, sign a contract in maybe February and get the work done in the summer. Now we're trying to sign a contract in, October or November so we can procure the supplies. So this is a very tight project as well, even though we're doing the work next summer to finalize the design. We had 6 firms solicit qualifications and proposals. The committee, which was made up of Emily Rosenthal, the chairman of the Board of Education Facilities Committee, Gail Colley. He is also on the committee, the Board of Education Committee. Steve Pintz on the Board of Education Facilities Committee. Seth Glaskin, the Board of Education chairman. Dr. Cook and myself. We interviewed 4 firms. We reviewed the qualifications. We selected 4 firms that had school K-5 experience. We interviewed the 4 firms, and we made the recommendation as noted in my letter for Tecton. Happy to discuss any of that. I think it was unanimous again. 4 really good firms, but we believe that Tecton was, the top, and we selected them based on their qualifications and their fee.
Any further questions for Bill on that? So we do need to put the name of the firm in the motion?
Yeah, did I not put that on my?
No, I'm just looking here.
Yeah, it says the review the committee unanimously voted for Tecton Architectural.
No, I'm saying the motion. It wasn't actually in the written motion, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thought
So
maybe
I'm
I
gonna
left
make-
it off my email, my memo.
Yeah, it's okay. It's to Tecton
Architectural.
Architectural. Okay, yeah, that was just, because I think when we put the agenda out, you guys were still finalizing your thing. So
That is
discuss and
correct.
take, yeah, so I will make a motion to amend the motion to approve awarding the RFP for architectural and engineering services for the Brown Intermediate School alteration projects to Tecton Architectural. So can I get a second on that? Yeah.
Second.
Okay, great. All right, so with that, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, great. All right. Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you.
And I will just highlight, the conversations with everybody that we had at the owner's rep, interviews. Everybody talked about the supply chain problem. There's still confidence, though, that it was all doable within our timeline, but that, this is just an industry problem. And seasoned, experienced firms, know how to work through this and how to plan for it. But, it will impact things, but there's still confidence that we can make our timeline. So, is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
Yes.
Very much so. It's gonna, in today's world, you never know, but
yeah,
we're confident if we move it along, we can get it done.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Have
All
a
right.
great day.
Yep, you too. Item number 14 is discuss a timeline for review of short-term rental policy options. So this was just a quick, we're just going to do a quick follow-up. Our last discussion was that, the town is now going to have our town planner spend some time looking into this issue more extensively. And so there's nothing to report back today, but just to show, give an idea of what the timeline would be, we'll have Erin talk through about just a minute or two about what she's going to be working on for this topic. So I don't know if Erin's here. No. Nope.
It's in process of moving her.
Okay. That's okay.
Hi again.
Hello.
Yes, so in response to short-term rentals, I have a punch list of some items that I'm going to gather to provide the board with some additional information to hopefully determine, assist you in determining if there are any problems currently with short-term rentals, and what those problems are, and if they're big enough to regulate, essentially. So my process is going to include gathering of complaints, both from the land use office with my ZEO, as well as working with the police department to gather some records of complaints, especially in the summertime, where you would expect the short-term rentals to be most frequent. This will also include reviewing the petition group's recommendations as well. And I have begun the process of exploring whether or not neighboring towns regulate short-term rentals? And if so, the mechanism that they do that? And also, included in that, or if they do regulate them, what are their steps? Do they include taxation, registration of houses? Do they use a zoning mechanism, or do you use an ordinance? Different opportunities for enforcement as well. So that's pretty much the information that I'm planning to present to you. My question is if you would like to see this when you would like to see this information. I did hear Lauren reference that April 25th is a little busy. I'm happy to have things ready for you then, or if you'd like to plan for the May 10th meeting, I'm agreeable to either.
I think, for me, I would love to see your executive summary just whenever you've got it available. And I think, my interest in this conversation is setting some sort of expectation amongst us as board members and with the public about when we might reasonably bring this to some sort of conclusion. There's nothing to motivate a project like a deadline. I'm wondering what a reasonable timeline for this discussion, for public input, and then for resolution, either as an ordinance or a policy or whatever it is might be. And I just want to add, Aaron, I'm glad you brought up the notion of commercial use, because I think we are seeing a change in the rental paradigm. We've got this long history of casual renting in Madison, and I don't think that people are necessarily adverse to that. But we've got a new type of I'm going to use the word corporate. I don't know if that's an accurate thing, but properties being purchased as a business solely for the purpose of renting out. And I think that our discussion needs to include that new type of use. These LLCs that are snatching up properties for the sole purpose of using them as income, and how are we going to properly address that? So that said, I'll put a stake in the ground just a little bit and say, could we have this resolved with a decision by September? And let everybody react to that.
I mean, I think just in terms of Aaron's focus, I think the first May meeting is probably a more realistic goal, because we've got affordable housing, which you've got a lot on your plate, and obviously planning and zoning. And so, and she's started some of this work already in the past, but it's a multifaceted approach. It's just not looking at one path. We've got to make sure we're looking at all the paths and addressing all the issues. So maybe from a short-term goal, this memo and kind of research, if you could come back to the board in the May 5th meeting. And then I think, I think it's reasonable to say by September to have, the board have some sort of conclusion about, what it is trying to accomplish, whether it's an ordinance, policy. I think that's reasonable. I don't know what other board members think.
I just want to add, this is off this topic of date timeline, but Aaron, I don't know if you heard the public comments, but one of our town residents, I think her last name was Marino, offered her services, she's an attorney, to really come up with maybe a draft ordinance, just like you're taking the language of the petitions, you're taking public comments. I would hope we'd welcome any kind of input from town as ideas, just ideas. Obviously, it's not going to be the final document, but with all the if all that help out there, why wouldn't we encourage it and certainly contact her and see if she want to work with you on potentially if we go the ordinance route.
Sure. One interesting thing I realized that the Airbnb website actually has links to regulations in other municipalities. And so you can pull up, Kennebunkport, Maine's short-term rental policies. So there's a wealth of information out there. You know, you really don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to look at it appropriately for our particular beach area and determine how we wish to regulate, if you do wish to regulate that.
And that'll help you. I think we're all concerned that would take so much time and research, but this is good news to know that's all available to you.
Right. And there's also, you know, there are private organizations as well who may have an influence on, you know, private beach associations and things like that. So those associations may have their own overriding, their private agreements, however, but they may institute their own regulations for their neighborhoods too.
Erin, there's one other piece of information I would think we would find very helpful. I'd like to hear from legal counsel as to what constraints, if any, there are on our regulatory authority.
Okay, happy to do that.
Okay, so I think we'll target a follow-up discussion with some kind of factual information from the town planner, and that'll kind of move us along.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
I just want to clarify, we're expecting Erin back in front of us in which meeting?
May 10th?
Yeah, the first May.
The Tuesday morning meeting.
Okay. And if you have something available before that, you know, please do send
I'll
it out.
share it. Absolutely, will do.
Good.
Thanks.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Item number 15 on the agenda is a motion to approve the appointment of David Wilkins to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee for a term to expire January 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Thank you very much for stepping up to serve, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, great. All right. Next item on the agenda. This is one I'm not prepared for. Do we have any tax abatements or refunds?
It's I move $2,457.61.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor of approving the refunds, I'm assuming, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. All right. Any additional citizens comments, Lauren?
Yes, Linda Marino.
Okay.
It's Linda Marino, 145 Middle Beach Road. I just wanted to reiterate the offer I had made earlier to assist in any way I can with respect to the issue of short-term rentals. So my email is lmarino60@gmail.com. So LMARINO60@gmail.com. And my cell phone is 203-988-3836. Thank you again.
Great, thank you. Any other comments? I don't see any hands raised. All right. With that, then motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you, guys. Meeting is adjourned. Have a good one.